I'm happy to be back on the air at Boston Praise Radio and TV. This is Priscilla Flint, and this is People Power with Priscilla. I don't feel like I have a lot of power this morning, but I'm going to get up and get it together. Maybe Pastor will talk to me until my guests get here. I don't think he wants to talk to me this morning. So how would everybody enjoy the new year? The new year coming in. 2025. Hold on to your seats, people, because we in for a ride. But we have to come together, community. We have got to come together. No more playing around. You know, we have to be in collaboration instead of competition. What do you think about that, Pastor?
What do I think about what you were saying, or what do I think about 2025, or what am I thinking about what?
Yeah, what are you thinking about 2025?
Anybody who's been listening to us as a church family, not so much on the radio, but as a church, is that I feel that in 2025, the church has to step up. The church has to begin to take over the responsibility of educating their congregation and people in the community. They've got to provide leadership like never before. I just think that things have got to change for the people of God who are going to these churches. These churches have to step up. Do you agree? You disagree?
Yes, I do agree. For some reason we just can't seem to come together as a body of people, a body of believers.
I don't know, Priscilla, if that is ever going to happen. I'm not looking for pastors to come together because there's so much competitiveness. They're competing with each other. They're afraid that their members are going to want to go to another church if the other church is doing better. I think the symbol for me is what we do here every Sunday when we show the Black History segments that Gwinnett puts together.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of education that we need to be educating our congregations. Our kids have never seen any of that before. They don't know that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in light of what could be coming out of Washington, D.C., if the church doesn't step up and start educating its people and the people in the congregation, in the community who want to be a part of it, we could be completely run over by Washington, D.C., and not have a progressive year in 2025. We could find ourselves going further and further backwards. Do you see that at all?
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of too.
And do you actually think that people will come together and unify? Do you think that that's a possibility? Because I don't see that, because pastors or church or community leaders can be bought off just like that to infiltrate a movement and set up the leader for death or arrest. I just don't see that, the unity factor. I don't trust it.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping and praying. I would love to see that, because that's what is needed. That is what is needed in our community, is unity. And I don't know where it's coming from. A lot of our leaders are going on to be with the Lord. And then the other ones, they're, I don't know, just stagnant. It just seems like we're stagnant to me.
Right,
What I see.
right. So the question about leaders, and not that I'm asking you to say who they are, but I mean, who are the leaders in the community right now with the people that are dying and transitioning? I'm looking around to say, who have they been mentoring? Who have they been developing to take their place? And I don't see the replacements. I see our leaders dying and taking off, and I'm looking around, and I'm saying, Who's there?
You're right.
So there's a when I was growing up, I had the Jeep Joneses, I had um, Mel Kings, I had all of those folk, and there were people in their wake who were being mentored by them. They were always mentoring people, but I don't see people being mentored now. NAACP is there, the Urban League is there, but are they? Do you know if they're working together at all?
I don't know. I don't. Because I'm over in my little corner with my few people that I have. So it's just, I don't know, Pastor. It looks sad out there when you think about it. You know, I mean, I believe that there are some organizations that are doing things, you know. But now that the holidays are over, you know, we'll see. Because a lot of things happen around the holidays, and then when the holidays over, things slack back.
Well, I just think that we have to look at Washington D.C. because that's where a lot of new policies, new laws, we need to look at the political leaders to find out if they're going to come together. Black political leadership, I'm talking about. Are they going to come together and educate those who are back in their districts, and are they going to be able to unify and fight off what I think is coming from our new administration? So we need to get our different elected officials in here and put the questions to them, because that's what you do. You invite the elected officials, you bring them in, and you have the list of questions that you want to raise, and that's the only way we're going to be able to put their backs up against the wall to find out, do they really have a plan, or are they just sitting in office waiting for their pension? What are they doing?
Good question.
And we have an election, don't we? The Boston City Council election?
Yeah. And the mayoral election.
Okay, so do you have, I have some of the city councilors sending me texts on a more regular basis now. You know why they're doing it?
Yeah, because it's election year.
Right. They want to establish reconnection because it's going to be a very intense election. District 7 might be up, right? There might be a new person for District 7. It's my understanding that the mayor of the city of Boston is identifying different candidates to run for the at-large spot. And I know Minister Priscilla's not running this year.
No, you're right about that. I'm not running this year. Nor next, nor the next, nor the next. However, I would like to support and help some folks that are interested in running and at this the district and at large level. Flint and Associates, which is my new, well, it's not new, it's 2 years old, my organization that I work with to help elected officials run. I would love to hear from people who are interested in running for city council, because I think the ones we have there, some of them, they need to be replaced. So if you're interested, 617-515-6908. That's my number. Here's my partner in crime. Yes, I was just letting people know. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
It's a little chilly out there.
Yeah, I know. I came out there with my hat on. Thank God I had my hat on, but I felt that went right through it.
Yeah, it's nice to have heat in the car too, right?
Yeah. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
Yeah.
So, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Good. You know, my kids are back to school today, so it's
okay.
Boston, I know some of the other school districts are still out, which
yeah.
I don't know if they have the luxury, but they.
Yeah, they're doing it.
Yeah.
They're doing it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was just talking about this being the election year. Me and Pastor were talking, and I was saying if anybody's looking to thinking about running for city council,
Mhm.
call me.
Well, you know,
Flint and Associates.
yeah, you would not know that it was an election year, and you would not know that things were in the shape they are, the condition they are, and based on people's actions or lack of action as to responding and vetting candidates. Right, this is an election. There's an election year every year in the city of
Yeah,
Boston in
yep.
some form. Right, it's either state, local, or federal level, and we look at it as a spectator sport.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
and then we complain about things not getting better. I always thought there would be a line that people would say it was enough, right?
Mhm.
I thought it would be their kids with the education failing.
Yeah.
That wasn't it. Then I figured, okay, things are expensive in the city. That wasn't it. Then the gentrification, them having been displaced, they had to move out. They just packed up and
Yeah,
left,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And now there's, it doesn't seem to be a sense of urgency and folks coming together, right, to
right.
deal with it. So
I don't know. I don't know.
yeah.
It's just sad. It seems like everything is just like pulled in different directions in different ways, and it's just like, yeah, what are we gonna do?
Well, listen,
What
how much-
are we gonna do? How are we gonna do it?
Well, how much pain do you have to inflict on yourself, right, in your community before you say enough is enough, right,
Yeah.
and that you're going to take a stand, right? And people feel like you always said, the only vote that doesn't count is the one you don't cast, right? And people, well, if I don't vote, I mean, I think that this year at the federal level with the Orange Man coming in, he's already making statements, who he's going to retribution, things of that nature. I think you're going to see people realize what it was like in the 60s for black people, in general, on how, discrimination was open and people felt like they could do it without total immunity, right? And where, some of the things he wants to do is giving total immunity to law enforcement. Now, I'm a former law enforcement. And I don't think I should have total immunity. That's what holds you accountable, knowing that you will be held to a higher standard, and you should be, because with that, I understood early on, that I had the authority to deprive people of their liberty, even though it may have been temporary, right? But if they had broken the law or whatever, and I had decided at that moment, and it wasn't the final decision, but at that moment, that I could just take to imagine giving someone that power unchecked.
I know, right.
That's just
Insane.
it is.
It is. It really is.
That's how it was, in the 60s when black people didn't like something and they were protesting against it, and you could just send out the stormtroopers.
Yeah.
It just defies all logic. And again, people are more interested in their social media, their devices, than they are in reality. And they're for a wake up call.
Sometimes people get confused, which is which.
Or they intertwine them as,
Yeah.
it's something else. They know more about, partying and things like that than, really, like I said, when you look at Boston and, the mayor's race, it's also this year, right? I think Mayor Wu has somewhat said, I'm confused whether or not she's running or not. She said she intends to run. That doesn't mean I don't know if she's made an official announcement that she is going to run. I know she's about to have her third child any day now. I think she's due this month.
I think her due date is January 15th.
Okay.
Which is Martin Luther King's birthday.
Yes. So with that said, she ran on a lot of promises, right, to clean up Mass and Cass. Mass and Cass has just been, divided amongst the city. It's down in Nubian Square. It's in Grove Hall. It's been dispersed to Andrew Square. It has not been fixed, right? There's more fencing down there. You can barely walk on the sidewalks down there. And then the schools. She ran on improving the schools here in the city of Boston, right? I know when I left, they were just awful. Very little.
I don't think they've changed too much.
Right. So what do we get? Housing here in the city of Boston, right? And you can barely afford to live, to rent, right? The average rent for a home is for one bedroom, $2,500. The average price for a home in the city of Boston is close to $1 million. $1 million. How many people in our neighborhood, in our community, can afford $1 million home?
Not many.
Or even the rents, right? So we're seeing the displacement.
Yeah.
So, and she's saying that she deserves a second term. And people are going to sit back and just let it coast in there with the folks who might be doing okay. So from their perspective, things might be working because their community is not being impacted by it. But those who are just sitting back, or they're packing their bags and moving.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Me neither, Larry. it's sad. It really is. But this is People Power with Priscilla, and this is Priscilla and Larry, and Pastor Bruce.
Your morning crew.
Don't get me started.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Give us a call. What do you think? We're in a new year. We have another president coming back for the second term.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy on us. Lord have mercy on us.
Yeah. I mean, and to that point, right? He's already started. And not that he stopped, right? But you know, the tragedy that's taking place down in New Orleans, where 15 people have lost their lives at a New Year's Eve gathering down on Bourbon Street, right? And a terrorist, right? And he'd already said it was an illegal immigrant, and he wasn't an illegal immigrant. He was radicalized, but he was born in the United States. He served in the military. He lived in Texas. He was born in the United States. He wasn't a naturalized citizen. He was born here, right? But that is just to throw out there to attack people who come here who are he thinks are undocumented or illegal, right? That is to get people riled up and start taking it out on people that look different. Just because someone looks different than you doesn't mean they weren't born here. But that's the environment. That's the he wants to portray that these people are not citizens, right? Because he looks different. He looks different.
I don't know. It's sad that we have this type of person that is going to be the president for the next 4 years, if he gets in there.
Well, it's
in there yet.
I think it really speaks to where this country is going, and what they feel about a certain segment of the population, right? On whose rights really mean anything,
Obviously not ours.
Not ours, not women.
Yeah.
Not people who are perceived to be different or think differently or act differently. The welcome mat is no longer out. It hasn't really been out. I tell people, don't be mistaken that somehow, excuse me, that this country is changing. This is really who this country has been, what this country has been. It's just been masked for a little while. You can't be as overt with your racism as now. You're a little bit more covert with it. Now people feel like they can be a little more overt with their actions, and there's going to be pushback.
Yeah. There needs to be. There needs to be. I don't. We're just like, there's so much you don't even know where to begin to start. But I know one thing: we definitely need to start here in Boston, and I know we can make some changes in the city. If we could just come together. If we could just collaborate, there's no reason why we can't change our stories in our lives. We have to bring it together. We do, because if we don't, we're just going to be stuck here like this forever, and then we're going to be gone, and then the next generation, we don't train the next generation. They're going to be lost.
Yeah.
And then they're going to be lost, their generation. So we really need to put some things in place.
Well, we used to have, because I came up under that, I was fortunate to work under people like Billy Sylvester, right, and folks like that, where there was a triangle, and that's how they called it. There was people like Pastor Wall, and there was, drop a dime. There were, and then we had our elected officials, our Bill Owens and folks like that. And then you had Billy Sylvester and like folks like that. And so that was that triangle. That was that connection. You had law enforcement, you had elected officials, and you had our community stakeholders. And they were all working together for a commonality. Now what we have is this fracture. We have this silo. We have this individual. We have this opportunity for advancement for that one person, and not for the betterment of all of us. And that's where we've fallen off. And until we get back to that, the beatings will continue.
How do we get back to that, Larry?
I think people have to want to have the willingness. And I said I thought there would be benchmarks where people would wake up, and see how it was impacting them, and they would say, you know what, I got to put my personal differences aside. If I don't like this individual, I don't like that organization, we need to come together. That has not happened, and people still are going out alone because they think it's going to benefit them personally. How we get there, I'm not sure, because I think even with the new administration coming in and some of the pain that people are going to be feeling, they're going to continue to blame it on the Biden administration, that somehow this is just, and they're going to try to frame it as, well, this is because of what the Biden administration did. It's not. Actually, that administration has brought this country back, the economy back. Most countries envy how we've recovered from COVID. The reason why we were in a financial situation is because of the inadequacies of Donald Trump. Someone who has been in 6 or 7 of his own businesses are bankrupt. Now he's going to run the country. He couldn't even run his own business. Couldn't run his casino, his airlines, his water, his steak, his fake college. And now he's going to run the country.
His fake college.
I just don't get it.
I don't either, Larry. I really don't. I don't understand the folks in the United States that vote for him and think he's all that. And I don't understand us as a people. Why? What is it going to take to make us wake up? I mean, it would be a lot easier, a lot better if we would just come together and be honest with one another.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's so hard to we're like
crabs in a barrel.
Yes, and our own worst enemies sometimes.
Yeah. And people take advantage of that. Look at our city councils, right? The pay raises that they have given themselves, right? Claiming they've done such a great job that they should be paid more than school teachers, more than firefighters, more than police officers, the folks who are on the front line, right? And then the state reps, they just voted them all selves, including the governor, a nice hefty 11, almost 12% pay raise, right? And most of them work part-time, if they work at all, right? It's their staff should be getting paid, right? Exactly. So we're paying them, but we're not holding them accountable, right? Where, if you work for the city, I know if I'm a former employee of the city of Boston, if I wanted to run for office, I had to take a leave of absence. If I wanted a second job, I had to get permission. Legislators write it into law. The city councils, they don't hold themselves to the same standards that they do the other employees, and they're all paid, taxpayer funded.
That's right.
Taxpayers pay their salaries just like they paid mine, but yet they're not held accountable, and they have more power. They're the ones who are writing the laws and passing city ordinances and spending. I mean, the city of Boston has almost $7 billion budget. Most of that is the schools, almost $1.4 billion, and a declining population, and yet we keep funding it.
More and more. Every year it goes up. I don't understand it. And the kids are disappearing.
Well, that's like feeding a diabetic sugar. Giving them more money is like feeding a diabetic sugar, knowing it's not good for them, knowing they're not going to do the right thing with it. I mean, what has been the improvement? Right now, they just ruled it. The mayor is going to be increasing property taxes here in the city of Boston for next year. People living in their homes. When you see your open up your new tax bill in February and March and see what it looks like, right? See if you've had an increase in your income of the 8 to 12% that they're talking about levying on the city to citizens of Boston, right? Did you get an 8% increase in your retirement, in your check, in your employment?
No.
So how are you going to offset that? That you have to live within your means, or you have to find it, right? Or you have to cut out some things. Why should the city or the state be any different? When they had all that COVID money, they were like drunken sailors, spending it like crazy.
Yeah.
Now it's coming home to roost, and they're saying, well, you have to pay for what we've done. It just but they'll reelect them.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah, so who do you blame? Who do you blame? You blame the people that vote for them, or do you blame the people that they vote in? I say you blame the people that vote for them.
Yeah, because if they didn't vote for them, they wouldn't be in.
Absolutely.
I don't know, Larry. I don't know what it's going to take, but it's really, it starts to get discouraging and frustrating sometimes when you see all this craziness going on in our city, and it seems like we don't have a say, And so it's like, what do? We have to get rid of the ones that are up there, supposed to be representing us, because they're not.
Yeah. Well, sadly, you have more people that don't vote than do.
Yeah.
You know, and that's in the city of Boston. You know, this is supposed to be a democratic, you know, a liberal city, a liberal state. I got news for folks, and it's not breaking news. We're not faring any better as black people in this Commonwealth of Massachusetts than they are in Alabama and Mississippi. You know, we might have a little better drinking water than Mississippi, but that's as far as our school system is no better than Mississippi. So our kids are not faring any better than they are down there. You know, they just dress it up a little better.
It really is. And you have educators who would love probably to get into the Boston public schools. You know, there's a lot of them that have just retired, and it would be nice if they could, you know, we could come up with a coalition of folks, retired school teachers and teachers that are just sick of Boston public schools, and just come up with our own idea of a charter school for our kids. You know?
That's true.
Our own.
But we're in a state where in the city of Boston gives huge tax incentives and tax breaks to the colleges here. Education should know. This is not some rural city, right?
Yeah.
Where in lieu of the tax breaks they give, they should be providing a first-class education. They should be assisting the schools here in the city of Boston.
We've been saying that forever. The
Right.
pilot, payment in lieu of taxes, but for some reason, they're not held accountable.
But think about that for a second, Priscilla. Your property taxes and mine, I own property in the city of Boston, are going up. These colleges, BU, all of them have increased their tuitions for this year. I think BU is somewhere around $100,000 a year now, right? They didn't get a tax increase, but the residents of the city of and they increased their profit. And yet working people who are on the fixed income, their taxes are going up. The people who can more afford it, they're not being affected.
I know, and that's just upside down, inside out. It doesn't make any sense. It's just insane. It
Because
really is insane.
There's no pushback from the residents of here. There's no pushback at the ballot box, right? And holding people accountable who they elect to represent them. How is that representing you taking more money out of your pocket? Who think that's a good idea?
There you go. I believe we have a caller. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, good morning. Happy New Year to both of you.
Same to you, Mr. Rock. How are you? Long time.
Very good. You can catch a voice. 25. Hello, Pastor, and hello, Dr. Ellison.
Good morning, my brother. It's been a long time. It's good to hear your voice.
And the same here. And I'll tell you, some of the things that you all have been talking about today have hit the core of my soul. And the reason being is because of the fact that I'm just amazed at what's going on. I'm from the outside looking in to my hometown of Boston, and it's chaos. What is going on in Boston? The body politic and the people seem to, like the nation, have gone berserkers, gone crazy. What is going on with the body politic? I'm looking at elections. I'm looking at indictments. I'm looking at. Oh my God! What can we say? What is going on in our town?
Well, they always say, brother, you get the government you deserve, right? And so if people know that they can get away with this, and it starts, like I said, you have someone about to be sworn in as the president again, who is a convicted felon, who the appellate court just upheld a decision against him for sexually assaulting a woman who had other cases pending, and the only reason he ran was to make sure that those cases disappeared. And folks still thought that was a good choice. Someone who has a history of bankruptcies, right? Which he's going to do to this country, right? And he is basically wanted to put lawless people. He wanted to make Gates the attorney general, someone who was under investigation for the same thing he did. And people were okay with that, right? They were going to confirm these people, and we'll confirm some of them who have no background, no business. One woman who was the head of the Wrestling Federation, right? It's like a reality show, but this is serious business because people will exploit your weaknesses, right? Like what's going on down there in New Orleans. It's because they know the incoming administration is going to be too busy trying to retaliate against who they perceive as their enemies in government or didn't vote for them, rather than paying attention to what really is going to harm us.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm looking at New Orleans. I'm looking at what happened in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at all the things that are going on in our country, and I'm deeply concerned. Actually, I'm feeling like Desmond Tutu when he talked about South Africa, and he said, "I fear for my nation."
Mm-hmm.
Well, I find myself fearing for our nation as well.
Yeah.
It's not a happy new year.
It's not.
For us. 2025 is looking like it's going to be a bad case scenario for us.
Yeah.
And all I can do is say we better look for something, and I guess we have to pray.
Well, pray. We always pray, but here's the problem is that people still don't believe it, right? They are waiting for the government to save us. Like they said, no one is coming to save us but us. When Trump and his cronies are talking about making America great, it has never been great for black people. Let's be real. It has never been great for us. What they're talking about is times when they could, do things to you for just being who you are first. Like I said, without having all the facts, Donald Trump was claiming that this was an illegal immigrant who came across the border and committed this heinous crime and murders in New Orleans. He was born in the United States, but the assumption is because he doesn't look like what he conceives as a European white male, that he can label him as non-American, and folks will run with it, and then people who are citizens or who are minding their business will pay the price for that, because people will see someone that looks like him and now start attacking them just because they look like him.
So let me ask you this. I have to ask both of you all, because you all are so astute at this stuff. There's a lot of people that have said that they are going to play hands off with folks that come to them. I'm talking about black folks are saying, because of the fact that so many people voted for Donald Trump, for whatever reason, black folks should take a hands-off approach and not do anything. Are you all in that same posture?
When you say not do anything, you mean if they come complaining about that what's happening to them is what they didn't think was going to happen, and now they want somebody to do something because they voted for this person, and now the dog has caught the car, right?
Correct.
I'm in that camp, Leon, where the best lesson is the one you teach yourself, right? Because then it's just like it is right now. Is why we're in the shape. There's a few of us who are doing the work, and they want you to continue. And we try to warn them, not just warn them, but inform them, right? And I hear that some of these folks idiotically talking about, oh, well, the stimulus checks are coming, not even understanding the only reason they got a stimulus check was because the whole world economy has shut down, right? And if that happens again, that $1,200 is not going to do much for you.
You got that right. Yeah. But, so you're in the same position. You state that, hey, guess what? This is what you voted for, and I'm going to allow it to play out and see how it plays out versus getting out and demonstrating.
Yeah, and in a lot of cases, it's not even what they voted for. It's the fact that they did not vote to keep it out, right? That's, to me, is a bigger. The ones who voted, they have a right to vote. But the fact that people died that look like us, and you didn't even vote, you take it as, like I said, you treat it as a spectator sport, and you don't vote. I have no sympathy for you whatsoever.
Right. Very good. I'm of the same position. I just wanted to see if you all have the same position.
Yeah, because I know you're down in D.C., and I know I was just listening to the radio on the way in, and they were talking about, it's all about him. Right? He's having this big rally because he wants it to be able to say that he had the most people at his inauguration. So there's a huge rally that's going to take place the day before the inauguration. I mean, right? It's chaotic enough, right?
Yeah,
right. And now you're gonna bring that chaos in public safety, right? And putting people in harm's way, right? Because let's be real, the police have to be right 100% of the time. The terrorists only have to be good once, right? And that's what
right.
They had all these things in place down in New Orleans, but there is no way. All you can do is try to move the target, move it back, right? The perimeter. You can have a hard target and you can protect that small area, but as you move it out, those people become vulnerable, and what do they have to do? They have to gather, they have to stage, right? They have to be on the sidelines. There's no way you can protect them. So why would you want to bring that many more people into the D.C. area, knowing that the inauguration is the next day, knowing what just took place?
Right, yeah. Well, all I can do is congratulate you all for the work that you all do.
Likewise,
Thank you all very much. I've continued to listen in, and I appreciate both of you all.
Likewise, brother.
Yes.
And give me a call soon, sometime. Let's catch up. All right. Peace.
Guaranteed. Thank you all. Bye now.
Bye.
No, he's right. I mean, Leon's been one of those people who I have a lot of love and respect for. I had the honor of I went through the police academy with his brother, Wayne, who passed away, someone I had a lot of respect for. But it's like, how much of you beating your head up against the wall and you wonder why you need some aspirin and getting a headache for somebody else? I have a whole different attitude. It's not that I don't want to help people, but I'm like, am I helping or am I enabling them? And a lot of times I think it's just the opposite. I'm just enabling them, because as long as you do from that old saying, give me a fish and I'll eat for a day, teach me to fish and I'll eat forever.
That's right.
Folks are going to feel some real pain.
Yeah.
They are going to see some real pain because there is no trickle down with billionaires. These folks, Elon Musk and those folks, they bought this election for Donald Trump. They were literally paying people to vote, $1 million, paying people to vote, right?
Yeah.
So,
but
now,
isn't that illegal?
It is.
But in the age of Trump,
right? What is right? What is the standard? This is why, like, even with this, when you were talking about, like with the issue with the city councilor Anderson, right, and being arrested and charged, right, and normally for me that would be a no-brainer. I'm like, you know what? She's an elected official, knew the rules, broke the rules, should be held accountable. But now when you see someone who's been convicted of 34 felonies about to be sworn in as the president of the United States,
you gotta be like,
you say, why should this black woman go to jail?
Unfortunately, yes. It's because it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It doesn't make any good sense. But we are living in a world that just like I said, it's upside down, backwards, inside out, because the things that are going on just, you would never ever think that this type of things would be going on. But
I'm gonna beg to differ on that, because these things have gone on. We just have not learned from the history, right? Because what we're talking about is about to happen, and what's happening, this has happened before to black people in the 60s. We had to fight for these rights, and we just took it for granted, right? So, black people being mistreated, not being the opportunity for housing and employment, right? Our rights, women's rights. This is not new.
It's not new. You're right.
This is just history repeating itself.
Exactly.
Because we just got comfortable. We took our foot off the gas, and now we're gonna pay the price again.
Yeah. What say you, Bruce Wall?
He said, "I'm out of this." He said, "My name is Bennett, and I ain't in it." No, it's really sad, and like I said, because I have young children, and we're trying to provide a better future for them. But I'm afraid, that, I mean, I was looking in the Globe today and they were, highlighting all of the people that we've lost, the leaders. Minister Don just went, I mean, Billy Celeste was somebody. These were not perfect people, but I can tell you one thing. They fought for black people. I know people say, the reason why I have this affinity, it is not that I have anything against any other race, but the reason why I have such love and affection for my people is because of people like Billy Celeste teaching early on, understanding that everything is not equal. Just because I became a police officer and I found out early on, I was not treated the same as people that didn't look like me.
I know.
Then we buy into going out there mistreating our people. Not on my watch.
Right. I hear you. Yeah, it does. It's just, I don't know, Larry. It's
discouraging.
Because especially, but you know what? You either in it to win it, or you just, you just say, okay, bye. But there are just some people like us who are just want to make a difference, want to help make a difference, want to see our people do a lot better. And the only way we're going to be able to do that, but they got to look in the mirror too. They got to look in the mirror and say, wait a minute. Is it me?
Well, maybe they're vampires because they don't see their.
They don't see themselves.
But you can't want it for more than they want it for themselves.
That's true. But you know what I say? Like the Bible said, "Whosoever will, let him come." Those that want to do it and the down and understand the vision and the mission, let's do it. And those that don't,
I would say, people, be true to yourself so you can be honest with others. And I think there's a lot of lying that people are saying themselves, right? And there's a lot of anger and a lot of hatred for self, and so you can't fix anyone else if you don't fix yourself, right?
That's right.
And I know a lot of people walking around with baggage, but I can't just because Priscilla, you went through, you going through things. I went through forced busing. I went through a lot of the things that and it's what made me better today. And trying to teach these young people that somehow they think that it won't happen to them. I'm like, lipstick on a pig is still a pig.
That's right.
And they don't understand what's about to come down on them, and they have no clue. They're still more interested in the TikTok and social media than the reality. You ask them who a celebrity is, they know. You ask them who their city councilor, who their mayor is, who their state rep,
don't have a clue.
who their senator is.
Don't have a clue. And that's what Marcus Anthony is all about, trying to teach them and train them and give them that knowledge and that skill set, but sometimes I be like, I don't know. It's hard. It's really hard.
No, it is. I really, like I said, it didn't shock me, but I thought that, we had made some progress in this country. To see the orange man coming back really tells me, right, that because like I said, he doesn't get in there if people don't vote him in.
That's right.
With everything that people knew. I remember they wanted President Obama to be impeached because he wore a tan suit. Said it wasn't presidential. Wearing a tan suit wasn't presidential.
Look at that's just.
But you can cheat on your taxes. You can be held liable for, sexual assaulting a woman. And all the other things. You can run a full page ad telling that the Central Park Five, even though they were exonerated and they never did it, they should be executed and never apologize for anything.
Nothing. And
you're basically saying you're going to go after those people. It's not cold. We know who you're talking about. Again, that's why the presumption was that this person who committed this heinous act in New Orleans wasn't an American citizen. He was born here. That qualifies him. He's more of an American citizen than two of his wives were. They were never born here. His current wife is a naturalized. She's not American. She was not born here. She could never be president.
I don't know. I tell you, it's you gotta laugh to keep from crying. I'm telling you, because what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?
Well, like you said, I'm gonna do for me, my family, and those who I can help, and those who want to continue to have their head buried in the sand. Good luck with that. That's all I can tell them. Good luck with that. because they don't understand the equalizer is, they think somehow the gas prices and all that. Watch how economists have said that really Donald Trump is going to be the worst thing. It might be good for billionaires and millionaires to drop it, but it doesn't trickle down. It doesn't trickle down. Go to the grocery store. You think that next week, after the 20th, all of a sudden these stores are going to roll back their price? They're not Walmart. They're not rolling back any prices.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I'm telling you, it's going to definitely be different. That's for sure.
Didn't the president-elect say that he's going to do something about the prices to the grocery store? I don't know how we could order and tell them to roll your prices back.
These are private entities, and that's what I'm saying. The government has very limited power. The only people that can do that is the consumer, right? And he's the reason why big part of the reason why they says he added $8 trillion. The largest increase to the debt was added by Donald Trump and his mishandling of COVID. So the prices, because supply and demand. When COVID hit and there was a shortage of toilet paper and food, these businesses said, we can raise the prices, and people got not comfortable, but they felt like they had to pay it. The prices didn't go down, even though the supply chain things moved in. There's more in there, but they said, hey, we can charge extra for this, and people are paying it. And Donald Trump is not going to change that. He threatening to tax people businesses from overseas. Look, let's be real. If labor is cheaper overseas, that's where people are going. Because when we make something here in America, it costs 100 times more.
But if he's putting the tariffs on the cost of products that are coming, we're paying for that.
And that's what people don't understand.
I don't understand that. A lot of people don't understand that.
Right. They don't understand. It's funny how many people are Googling now after the election, what is a tariff? Not understanding it's a tax that if... Pastor Wall, if you have a business and you go out and you need to restock up and the eggs cost you another $1, you're not going to absorb that $1. You're going to, when I come back in, if the eggs were $5.99, now they're $7.99. Right? So you're not going to eat that cost.
No.
This is where I don't people understand.
What is the strategy in trying to pressure Canada at this time?
It's all posturing, right? Because we import more oil from Canada, right, and things from Canada. That's our neighbors are to the north and our neighbors to the south, Mexico. I tell people, just look at anything you wear and most things you buy. Other than maybe California and some parts of Florida, where else do we grow food in the wintertime? There are no farms open in Massachusetts in the winter months. Most of the stuff, the fresh fruits and stuff, are imported from Mexico because of the weather and other countries where this stuff is coming in. So all you're going to do, they're not going to absorb that cost. They're just going to pass it on to the consumer. So, and Canada is not some small little country that's going to be bullied by Donald Trump. He's not smart enough. The world is laughing at the United States that we would have a clown back in there. That we hadn't learned our lesson the first time.
But what does it mean when you have, again, Musk and all these millionaires that are coming around this guy? Are they saying we're smarter than him and eventually we're going to be able to take over some of his leadership? Or how is it going to benefit their businesses to support
because
him?
It just like it did last time. The businesses, corporate America, their taxes went from 38% to 21%. So that's more profit for them. It didn't trickle down. They didn't give their employees bonuses. They didn't give them pay raises. So because they get to, Elon Musk is on track to be the first trillionaire. How much money do you really need? How much money do you really need? And that's not being spread out with the employees that work for Tesla or any other companies that he has. So folks will see his portfolio increase, but their bottom line will not. And people are buying it. They're buying it. We've gotten into the celebrity mentality.
I don't understand.
We have a reality TV show as president. Ukraine has one, but at least he's functioning. He was a television personality. It's like you think you're gonna wake up and we're watching The Apprentice, and like, oh, okay, this is just not real. This is not where this country is, but this is where it is.
Yeah.
if we had more time, as Kingsley would say,
If we only
if
had
we only
the
had
time.
the time, I'd be asking questions about how did so many black folk make a decision to vote for Donald Trump
Stimulus checks.
and wear it with a badge of honor.
Yeah.
And I did, yeah, a lot of them did say that.
Yeah, well, they think there's a check coming.
But I mean, really, it was one, maybe two stimulus checks. How did that really increase anything? You know, I mean, I know some people actually went and started a business, started a 501c3. I mean, that made sense, you know. However, that's about the only thing I can see people doing with it. Unless you're gonna go buy a TV or, you know, something stupid. Because that ain't no money.
It's not. It's not.
I don't know.
You could work at Walmart for the whole month and make more than $1,200. But that's the mentality. You think you're getting something for nothing, and you get something coming. It ain't gonna be nothing.
I had so many black males saying,